One of the questions I see come up often is how many times should I be calling people or texting people, or how many direct mail pieces should I send? Really, more often than not, what comes up is, hey, I sent one mailer or I called the list once and I didn't get any deals. What am I doing wrong? Well, you're not doing anything wrong other than not taking more action, really simply, right? You have to try these actions more than once. I see a lot of people do a one and done. If somebody calls you once that you've never talked to before and doesn't leave you a voicemail, or let's say they leave you a voicemail, they don't send a text, and they never call you again, like, what are you gonna do in that situation? You're not gonna call that person back. You're figuring, okay, they called the wrong number or whatever it may be, right? So these one and done situations where you send one mailer, or you call once, or you send one text and you don't get a response, or you send something and the person says, huh, what? I don't know. And then you never reach out again. I mean, these are the things where you're missing so much activity that should be happening in your pipeline. And what ends up happening is your marketing gets lopsided, right? You end up spending so much money on data versus taking action on that data. And then now your numbers are off, right? Your cost per deal's through the roof, your cost per lead's through the roof. What you're missing is that there is no perfect answer to that. It depends on the system, it depends on the list, it depends on the situation, the time of year. I mean, there's so many different factors to it, right? So what you need to be thinking is, there's so much stuff I can't control. How do I eliminate that and focus on the pieces that I can control, right? How do we do that? Well, we reach out more than once for sure, right? Because you don't know, again, ask yourself the question of like, what am I not thinking about that might be going on here? You reach out, let's say even 3 times to somebody, they don't answer. Your mind automatically goes to, they don't want to talk to me. My mind goes to, well, what are you sending to them? Like, is there a reason for them to respond? Are you giving them enough of an incentive to respond? Even more simply, text, calls, mail, whatever it may be, did they even get the message? I mean, this happens a lot in text. Happens for sure in direct mail, like the mailer didn't even get there, got lost in the mail. The text didn't go through because you think it got delivered, but the carrier has some blocking that you don't even know about. All this stuff is going on in the background constantly, right? So instead of worrying about it all, or like, oh my God, there's so much I don't know, okay, how do we just build a better process that's gonna let us eliminate as much of this as possible? So the answer to the question is as many times as you need to have a good conversation with them. Right? How many times do I need to reach out to somebody? As many times as you need to have a good conversation with them. That's really the answer. Now, in terms of what that means for a number, depends on what's your verbiage, what's your process. Is it VAs reaching out to them, or is it you, or US based? Is it somebody that has experience? Are you looking for a very professional experience, more of like a realtor track? Or are you trying to like really just connect with somebody, more of a wholesale type level? All that is gonna determine how, when, the verbiage, like all of those things about how you reach out to people. But no matter the situation, it's not once, it's 3, 5, 7 times. Years ago, pre-COVID, the average salesperson would have to call 7 to 10 times to get the initial connect, right? 7 to 10, that was before COVID. Can you imagine what's happening now, right? More people working from home, more going on every day, every second of their lives, more to worry about, more news, election, whatever being thrown at you, more anxiety, more noise. All that stuff is happening with all these people you're trying to reach out to. Yet, for some reason, people think they can call them a third of what they had to pre-COVID or once, and you're gonna get the same connect rate. It's just not gonna happen. Even if you get a good connect rate, you're not getting good connections, right? Because people have more going on. So by understanding that and thinking about that, incorporating that into the process, it bleeds across everything. It bleeds not only to how many messages you're sending, but what is the message you send? What's the method you send it? Is it a text message or a call or a mailer or an email? All these different ways of getting in communication with people, all that stuff now has changed because we need to get in touch with people more in order to get a connection. So for me, that means all of them. You need to do all of them. I mean, give people more of a way to get back in touch with you, right? If we're calling people and leaving a voicemail, don't assume they're listening to the voicemail. Great, the voicemails are transcribed. Like, don't assume they're reading them, right? That's why a follow-up text. Even if you call and leave a voicemail, and this is the truth for me, it may be the truth for you. I know it is for a lot of people because I watch the numbers of how these different things play out. If you call and leave a voicemail and don't send a follow-up text, that's more likely to be assumed as a spam call. Keep in mind that like your phone call probably came up as spam likely or telemarketer or whatever it is, and now you leave a voicemail and you're assuming somebody's going to listen to that voicemail. No, but if you send a text that's not a robot, that's like, hey, I just left you a voicemail. Hey, John, just left you a voicemail. Listen to it when you get a second, text me back. Something like that is a human obviously reaching out to me, right? Not, you can tell in the verbiage, like that's a real person reaching out. That's not somebody sitting in the Philippines just following a script. So that's the stuff that you do that'll make all of this marketing work so much better for you. But if you're only reaching out to people one time, you don't get the opportunity to do these things, right? If you reach out 8 times, 10 times, that's 10 different variations of messages I can send. 10 different variations of what's put in front of their eyes. 10 different times I can send them that message to try and get a response. I can couple them, right? I can send one now and an hour later send another message, right? A little more urgency. So it gives you more options in how you do stuff in order to get a response from people. But if your whole method is just, I'm gonna reach out once, and once they don't answer, it means they're not interested, or they pick up the phone and they say no, okay, they're not interested, I'm never calling them again. I mean, their situation might change 3 months from now, 6 months from now, you don't know, right? So by looking at the marketing this way, what you'll start to do is communicate with people, figure out where they are now, and now just you touch, like send a message later on, send a message six months from now, 3 months from now. This is kind of the process stuff that we can get a lot deeper into. It gets technical, there's a lot of different things you can do, but don't think about all that. Think about just methodology-wise, what am I trying to do? I'm trying to have good conversations with people. In order to do that, I need to try and get in touch with them on their terms when they're gonna wanna have a conversation. I don't know when that's gonna be. The only way I could figure that out is by sending different stuff at different times in different ways, and based on when they respond to me, now it's telling me what works for them, what's convenient for them, or simply I just ask them, hey, when would it be convenient for us to connect for a couple minutes? Whatever the case may be. So start paying attention to the actions that you're taking, right? You and your team. If you're trying to get them to, hey, you need to make so many calls a day, they may call somebody once and never call them again. I mean, it's a major thing that happens all the time. So just make sure you're doing those touches. Realize that everything is more hectic. There's more going on. People have more that they have to deal with every single day. So just based on that, you should have to reach out more. You should have to reach out better in order to have communication with them, especially if you're in a hot market where there's more people trying to do deals, more people trying to do the same marketing you are. You've got to flip the script there and figure out, how do I shine above? Well, if everybody else in my market's only calling them 3 times and I'm going to call them 30, guess who's going to win that game? The guy who's doing more actions. So focus on your actions, dive deeper, stop trying to find more other people to communicate with. The people you already tried to communicate with that didn't answer, double the actions to them and watch what happens to the deals in your pipeline.